All right. Thank you all very much. We apologize for the delay to get us started this evening, but again, extend our appreciation for those of us who are joining online here. My name is Ryan Ruff. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Eastern Suffolk BOCES. Our delay is related to Senator Dean Murray. He had a prior obligation. He's running about 5-10 minutes late from here, but he's going to jump in and we'll pause the meeting at that time to give him a moment just to settle in, and then we'll jump right in. But we have a very unique, very special presentation tonight. But to begin, I'm going to ask that we do some if you could give your name and your position on the North Patchogue board. We'll go around the table. And first, let me start with Bill.
Okay, Bill Miller, I'm the chairperson with the Legislative Committee and also vice president of the board.
Thank you very much, Bill. And let's go around the table here and start with Bruce.
Bruce Wasserman, I'm the board member of North Patchogue Fire District.
Thank you, Scott.
Scott Welch, I'm one of the board members of North Patchogue Fire District.
Joe Badalla, North Patchogue Fire District Manager.
I'm Larry Stemple, the Vice Chairman of the North Patchogue Board.
Tom?
I'm Tom Wasmer. I'm the Chairman of the Board of Fire Commissioners.
Thank you very much. So the reason the North Patchogue Fire District is joining us has to relate directly to the building that we're in tonight. So I know for those of you who are joining us online, you're basically seeing a group of us in a room. You can't really tell where we are. So what we would like to do is tonight's overall theme is related to local government and elected officials, state elected officials, supporting good local government, and really a state initiative to share among municipalities and how successful that's been for Eastern Suffolk BOCES and the North Patchogue Fire District. So as I mentioned, Dean Murray will be joining us momentarily for that. To kick this off,
Why don't we do the Pledge of Allegiance?
I'd like to start with the pledge.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank all our members for being here with us tonight. And again, thanking the North Patchogue Fire District for putting in the time coming to us tonight also, and to talk about how we can share municipalities with the local school. All right, I have a bio that I'm going to read because Dean is not here right now, but it's going to be, again, if he was here, I would streamline it. A lot of interesting pointers here that I had to check out a few just to make sure he wasn't,
Fact checking.
fact checking, fibbing, especially being a professional semi-pro football player.
Semi-pro. All right.
Semi-pro.
I'll give it to him.
All right. In 1985, Dean graduated with honors from the Broadcast Institute of Maryland, and for the next 10 years, he was involved in all aspects of radio, television, and news throughout Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and New York. During that period, Dean covered the Pennsylvania State Capitol for over 100 radio stations and served on the board of directors of the Pennsylvania Associated Press. While living in Pennsylvania, Dean played 5 seasons of semi-pro football with the Chancenburg Cardinals and the York Lions. Seeking other opportunities in 1994, Dean came to Long Island as an advertising sales rep for TCI Cable. In just over a year, Dean was promoted to regional sales manager, serving the tri-state area. Not being able to completely let go of his love for broadcasting, Dean periodically filled in doing more morning news at WBLI Radio and also did the play-by-play radio broadcast of local high school football games on Walk AM. In 1997, Dean took the entrepreneurial leap, and started his own advertising agency, DNS Advertising Inc. For nearly 25 years, the company published several specialty free publications, including but not limited to the Long Island Job Finder Employment newspaper and website, the Long Island Pet Lover magazine and website, and the Long Island Fugitive Finder, crime fighting magazine and website. Throughout his business, Dean not only was able to create multiple jobs, but also has the satisfaction of knowing that he is helping people find new jobs, new careers, while working with law enforcement to keep our community safe. Dean was first elected to serve in the New York State Assembly in a special election in February of 2010, was re-elected by a comfortable margin in November of 2010, following a brief 2-year break. The voters returned Dean to the New York Assembly in 2015, where he served for another 4 years. While in the Assembly, Dean led the fight to repeal the MTA payroll tax, eliminate the saltwater fishing license fee, pass the largest middle-class tax cut in decades, and adopt the I-STOP program to help fight the serious problem of prescription and drug abuse. Dean has committed himself to serve this community in various ways. He's been an active member of several Chamber of Commerce chapters throughout Suffolk County, served as a board member with the Patchogue Medford Youth and Community Services, the Focus East Patchogue Civic Organization, and was a member of the Suffolk County Police Reserves. He also serves on the Suffolk County Workforce Investment Board. Dean isn't the only one in his family that has made a commitment to community and country. He is extremely proud of his son, Anthony Dean Murray, who served 6 years in the Maryland Air National Guard, completing tours of duty in Iraq and Afghanistan. Dean was elected to represent Senate District 3 in November 2022 and currently lives in his home in East Patchogue with his dog Pete. There we have it on Dean Murray.
Thank you very much. So Dean will, as I mentioned, Dean will be joining us in just a few moments. So where I wanted to start is a little bit about the Barton Avenue Armory and how it came to be that Eastern Suffolk BOCES has the good fortune to occupy this space. So across Eastern Long Island, we have a total of 1.2 million square feet of classroom space, office space, as well as operations and ground space that we utilize. Back in 2016-17, we were getting ready with plans to build a maintenance garage at a cost of around, back then, about $600,000. And today's pricing would probably be double that. And at the same time, a member of the North Patchogue Fire District was working per diem in our O&M department. And I believe around that time, the North Patchogue Fire District, or maybe a few years prior, acquired not only the building we're in here, but a building that's located about 100 feet in that direction. Recognizing the amount of need that this building had and an investment to ready the space, and in connection with the fact that we were getting ready to build a new building and the reputation that we have on our strong maintenance program and how we improve spaces when we go into that, thanks to the support of our board. An idea was had if there could be a partnership between Eastern Suffolk BOCES and the North Patchogue Fire District. And I believe that individual was Paul Gonley, who had that idea and approached us. So we were very excited for the opportunity. We walked through the space originally with our director of facilities, who had a really nice vision. And I'm going to ask Paul now to kind of show a picture of, or a quick video about how the space looked when we walked through it versus what it looks like today. So just the image that you saw there at the end was partnership with New York State. We've distributed over 1 million COVID-19 test kits from this facility, which we really wouldn't be able to do if we didn't have the space that we have here. So that goes to speaking how we're able to support again Eastern Suffolk, Long Island with those efforts. So that's what the building looked like before and after. Paul Wimmer did a great job putting that video together. So thank you for that, Paul. And again, it was a tremendous effort for us. So again, the goal of today is to talk about how governments can work together. We can create efficiencies and ultimately saving the taxpayer dollars across the board. So a little bit more to the story is that we had our buildings and grounds departments in actual buildings, in school buildings that were honestly taking away space that could otherwise be classroom space. So over time, as our enrollment has been increasing, we have found it necessary for us to move out of classroom space or out of ground space, mechanic shops that, these are where the people who maintain our own facilities work into other locations. And we were successful in moving that and converting that into classrooms. So by this building being available to Eastern Suffolk BOCES, we were able to add 5 classrooms throughout the agency, which may not sound like a lot, but it provides an additional spot for about 40 of our special needs children, which is important and the best place for these students to be. So for that, we're super appreciative to the North Patchogue Fire District, and I know that the parents of those children are as well. Another benefit for us is we were able to not invest in building a separate building that was going to be much smaller than this, but we were able to move out of other locations, and that helped us save in terms of rent expenses overall, which results in savings of hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for the taxpayers in Eastern Suffolk County. So that was very beneficial to us as well. We'll get to in just a moment the mechanics of how that happened, because we hit some roadblocks along the way. It wasn't as smooth as us sitting down with North Patchogue Fire District and saying, hey, what do you think? And they'd say, yeah, sounds like a great idea. Let's have our attorneys put a couple words on a piece of paper and we're off and running. It was a much more complicated than that. And that's where Dean Murray comes in. But what I'd like to do first is have an opportunity to ask our guests from North Patchogue Fire District a little bit more about some of the opportunities to help serve the local community. Again, we have employees from Eastern Suffolk BOCES join. We also have our students that jump on. So through the lens of a student, I'm going to throw out a question and please jump in. Let's first start with North Patchogue Fire District. Could somebody share a little bit about the size of the district, how many volunteers you have, maybe the average number of calls that you get in a typical year?
Sure. The North Patchogue Fire District is a 6 square mile. It's a 3x2 fire district. We run about approximately on the books 100 active volunteers, and between paid and volunteer. We do run, this past year, we ran just under 3,000 calls. I believe it was 2,900, which were mainly EMS, and 900 of those were motor vehicle accidents and fire type calls. We use the bigger apparatus goes.
With that, do you see opportunities for students, high school students, to get involved in local government or in the local firehouse?
Yes, we would love for the high school kids and the younger generation to get involved in the fire district itself. There are different things out there, initiatives where if some families have a harder time having money for college and stuff, there's financial assistance programs that are out there to assist them while they're volunteering in the fire district. They get their time away that doesn't count towards them while they're in school, and we're trying to accommodate those needs of those children that might want to join the volunteer service.
You take an EMT course now, even before you're 17, as long as you're 17,
at the time of the exam, which is a change in the regulation, which would be awesome for us.
And how, if there's a student out there that's watching now, or when they replay this in classes tomorrow, how would a student know how to take an EMT course, or what would be a step that they could do if they're interested in that? And I'm sorry, I know the lingo is obvious to us, but what does EMT even say?
Emergency medical technician.
Okay.
It's an awesome program. They reduced the age from taking the test at 18 to 17. And we have people on staff that would actually facilitate the students getting into a program. There's programs all over the county, different days, different times. And if we had enough people, we could even host a program at the North Patchogue Fire Department.
That's great. So really, right, not all the students watching are going to live in necessarily in Patchogue, which we all know, but they could call, reach out to their local fire department, express that they're interested in that. It's a great way for them to get young and help us maintain.
Well, we're looking at EMT because a lot of medical colleges today, even to become a PA or an MD, you have to take an EMT course first now. The Delphi being one of the first to do that. So you have to be an EMT before you can even move through medical school. So
with us today, do we have EMTs?
yes, we do.
Thank you. Thank you. You guys are
At
the ones.
least least three of us.
And you're the ones that most eager to respond and in the community, very, very important role. So we saw that play out over the past week, right, on a nationwide basis, right, during the Buffalo Bills game, right? Not that it was necessarily an EMT, but an individual's life was saved because there was a trained professional in CPR that was there within a matter of seconds. Yeah, AEDs as well, right? In all of our buildings, we have AEDs, and I know all of our first responders do as well. So let's pause this conversation. We're going to jump right back in there. But Dean, I wanted to give you an opportunity to settle in. We know how busy you are, so we definitely appreciate you joining us this evening. So for those online watching this, I'm not going to repeat, but to let you know, we did the bio without you because we're pretty confident you know who you are, but I know we wanted everybody else to do that. But we did talk about the support that you gave us and North Patchogue Fire District because we're getting into that. This is a great example of municipal government sharing and helping to save the taxpayers money. And it wouldn't have happened without the support that we got from you, and we're forever grateful for that. But the reason why this couldn't just go forward, as I was just talking about, was because when it came down to it, the way that the deed was written, when I guess it was the federal government gave it to the state and the state gave it to North Patchogue Fire District, it didn't allow for the use other than, I think, for fire protection services, which makes sense because you're a fire department, right? So why would it be anything other than that? So I think we got to the point where our attorney was getting ready to approve the contract. She did her due diligence and said, guys, you have a little bit of a problem here. Yes, the contract's good and it will work. However, the laws of New York State do not allow this transaction to take place. And it was at that point in time that we reached out to Dean's office. And Dean, at that time, I think you were a New York State Assemblyman.
Right.
And you worked some magic. And I'd like to ask you if you would be so kind to kind of talk about what happened then.
Well, first, let me apologize for my tardiness. So for anyone watching right now, when we talk about training and careers, HVAC, very good career, heating, air conditioning, especially heating in the winter, because my heat went out this morning. And that's why I was late, because the repair guy got there right about when I was supposed to be coming here. So replaced the thermostat, everything's good. Finally, I have heat, but I apologize for being late. But again, to show there's a market out there. Get your training, get into HVAC. It's there. As far as this goes, yeah, when we got I worked with Senator Croce at the time as well, and we wrote it up. We had to go through our attorneys as well, and it had to go. We had to sell for one thing, so we made it for $1. That was the only way we could do it. We couldn't hand it over for free. We also had to split, who was using what and where, and identify all of that as well, and then identify what the purpose was, but also kind of get a waiver for that law. But it had to be going through a municipality. So we worked it with the town of Brookhaven, I think it was, to kind of work its way through. And here we are. We ended up kind of playing with the language a little bit to make it work, but it was a great idea because it fulfilled needs on everybody's part. And it made a building that all the neighbors were saying, what are we doing? It's just sitting here. It's blighted. It's overgrown, all of this. Now it's being put to great use. So it was really a win for everyone, the community, the fire department, BOCES, everyone. So we were very happy to get that done.
And major benefits to us today. We run our regional transportation system out of here. So this right across from us is the office that moves several thousand students every single day across Suffolk County. We also have our operations and maintenance department. So they oversee the crew of about 100 staff members who cleans our 1.2 million square feet of classroom and office space across Eastern Suffolk County, and our O&M department, our maintenance department, which consists of only about 10 gentlemen who do a lot of the internal maintenance on this. When it came to the idea that we had and the level of support we had, that we presented to our board was incredibly supportive. Bill Miller was on the bill board at this time, and gave us the resources and the support to move forward with this project. And then what we had to do, because we're looking to control cost too, is we did a lot of the work internally. So it was our own staff members who replaced ceilings and did lighting and worked on bathroom fixtures and did a lot of that work. We did have some outside contractors do some of the support. We found that this is an armory. When armories were built, it wasn't built to normal standards. When you have to drill through this cement floor to run a pipe into the basement, it is not your standard thickness of concrete. It is not reinforced like regular concrete. It is reinforced as if there will be a tank or a couple dozen tanks sitting on top of that concrete. So very quickly, and our maintenance staff was very open to the idea of us using an outside plumber who had specialized equipment to drill holes that sometimes were 12 to 18 inches through reinforced concrete. So I know I'm getting into some of the weeds and details here, but this was an amazing, exciting project, a perfect example of the shared services program that was sponsored by a previous governor, and something that's continuing today. So, Dean, as you know, we have joined with us students, right? You spoke about HVAC a little bit.
Right.
Talk to me that what you're seeing at the state level, some of the data that comes across your desk in terms of careers out there into the future and things of that nature.
Well, good news, and that is that more and more people are open to career training. Before, and you mentioned the previous governor had a penchant to push really, really hard for college, and even went out and said, in order to succeed today, you must go to college, which I don't agree with, but it's not a bad idea. I mean, if you can, if you want to, absolutely, there are great colleges out there, but there are also kids who are not going to go to college and they don't plan on it. But what are we doing with them? They want to get into careers. Now is the time. Yeah, exactly. Now is the time to get the training they need so that they can graduate, get into a good trade, set up apprenticeship programs, things like this, so they can get in, learn, and make a decent living. You've heard the term brain drain. It's been going on for years. And part of the problem is they don't feel like there's a future here. It's too expensive, or there are no jobs that'll pay right, but there are. I mentioned HVAC, plumbers, and they pay well, very well, but you need the training. You're not going to walk in off the street to do something like that and immediately make that money. But if you can get the training you need, get your foot in the door, you graduate school, you're walking into a possible career. And take some night classes, learn how to run a business. So then when you become that plumber or that electrician, you might open your own business. And then you've got it all. Right? You run your own business and you do what you love. So it's really starting to resonate in Albany. where a lot of folks are starting to say, you know what, this is a good option. We really do need to invest in this. So I can see in the near future, more investment towards CTE, BOCES and apprenticeship programs, things like this, partnerships, working, even going out to some of the businesses, local businesses in the area and saying, hey, do you have some excess equipment you might want to donate so we can teach these kids on some real equipment? You know, believe it or not, there is a fallacy out there that Long Island has no manufacturing. You know, there are over 3,000 manufacturing companies on Long Island. Nobody really realizes that, but when you speak to them and you say, what's your number one challenge? You would think, what, taxes, right? Taxes, fees, you'd think infrastructure, the roadways, all that. Nope, they can't find talent. They cannot find qualified workers. There are companies who've told me I have to turn down contracts because I can't fulfill it. I don't have the staff. So if you're watching out there and you're saying, what am I going to do for a living? What do I want to do? It's there. It's right there in front of you. The jobs are there. They need you. So get the training and you'll have a job.
Thoughts from otherwise? I think we have a former graduate with us here.
Yes, I did go to automotive through BOCES. I went through college as well, but I didn't end up in that career. I actually ended up as an equipment operator for the county.
That's great. That's great.
But using the mechanic side of it, it actually helps in that career.
Right.
Absolutely.
So even though I didn't fulfill like that actual career choice, it helped me with the county. I can diagnose a problem on anything I use and either fix it myself if it's simple or say, no, we can't use this anymore. We need to repair it. We need to send it out. So it helped me in the end.
Yeah, thank you. And we see that often, right? We see students come to us, maybe they enroll in our electrical program, maybe they don't go into become an electrician, but a lot of times you find that it's a similar aligned
The
passion.
skill is something you can still use.
Yeah, and it transfers over into other areas. Thank you both for sharing that. Dean, other things, again, for our students about the importance of getting involved and getting active in your community, getting involved in local government. I know you have a great perspective on Long Island, but even a broader perspective across New York State. If we have a student who's passionate about a program or they feel very strongly about something, what advice would you give our students related to, you know, advocating, trying to make a change, trying to have an influence? Do they have a voice?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and get involved. I mean, don't wait for someone else to do it. That's a lot of people do have that thought that, you know, oh, my voice doesn't matter. They're not going to listen to me, whatever. Well, they're not going to listen if you don't talk. You know, make the phone call, reach out to your elected officials, reach out to your representatives, whether it's local, state, federal, reach out to them, let them know how you feel. Get your friends to reach out. They want to hear from you. If they want to do the job right, they want to hear from you because, you know, perfect example. I do a radio interview every week on Tom Schalero's show on LI News Radio. Last week, we were talking about constituent service. You know, how do we deal with constituents? After the show, someone was listening and had a problem and hadn't thought, hey, maybe I could reach out to him and he could help. Called our office. And now we're helping her through her problems and then discovered another problem that was on the county level. So I reached out to the county legislator and said, we've got a problem here. And her problem isn't one that was necessarily unique. And so by bringing it to our attention, we might actually help hundreds of people who are suffering from the same problem, but didn't know where to go. So definitely make your voice heard. I also want to clarify something. I'm not saying don't go to college. I'm not saying that. College is great. But what I'm saying is there's no reason you can't do both. But the training you can get here, just as you heard, you may not go into the field, but it could be extremely valuable to you down the road. So take advantage. These are great, great services and great programs that you really can learn, if not career lessons, life lessons through it. So definitely take advantage of it, even if you're going to college.
Thank you. Bill, questions or thoughts?
Any questions from the North Patchogue Fire District?
Dean?
No.
All right, let's do this. Why don't we open it up to our online guests? I think it's always important to have participation. I know we're not all in the same, small theater like we did last session, but I do welcome anyone who would like to, who's joining us online, to unmute and feel free to ask a question.
Slow down, Al. Not all at once.
Anyway, give me anybody. Give me somebody.
Good, pretty good.
All right, while you're thinking of, Jenny.
I have a question for, I'm thinking from a student perspective. If a student was interested in, getting the training to become an EMT or to join the local fire department, what would be some steps that they would take in order to do that?
Probably the best thing is to come to the firehouse, and we would actually work them through the process of applying. Again, at 17, you can take the exam and get qualified now. That changed from 18, and we certainly would be more than happy to help somebody through that progress. I think other fire departments will do that as well, but in North Patchogue, we're kind of unique because we do both fire and emergency medical services. There are some departments that only do fire services, but we will do both. And we will certainly, even if somebody came from another jurisdiction, we could turn them on to their local. If somebody came from Sayville, stop by our place, we could work out to a deal to get them into Sayville as well.
Okay.
Can
Can I just ask a follow-up to that? So you had mentioned that you have some members that are paid and some that are volunteers. Could you describe the difference in that? And if someone was interested in looking at it as a career, what they might do?
So the career choices are kind of simple in EMS today. There's basic life support and advanced life support. So an EMT is a basic life support provider, and a EMT CC, which is kind of like being removed from the county, but paramedic, which is known from television. A paramedic is an advanced life support. So that's a career choice. With us, it becomes civil service. And just like a BOCES person that works at BOCES, our employees become part of the employee retirement, the ERS system that you have here. So it's just another municipality, which is awesome for people that really want to get started in a career. With us, that's how that works. You get some retirement. We have health benefits and things like that as well.
All right. Thank you for sharing. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Thanks, Jenny. Any other questions from our guests?
And Mark has his hand up.
Mark? You can unmute.
Well, no, I think he's just adjusting himself.
He's adjusted.
Mark is the facilities guy.
Hi, good afternoon. Yes.
We're in Mark's building.
Great
right
meeting.
now.
I'm very happy to be an occupant of the Armory. You guys have a nice piece of property. Thank you. I just wanted to, follow up on Jenny's questions. I understand that if you're a volunteer firefighter as well, you might be eligible for college scholarship or free college at state universities or county schools. I didn't know if there was any more information on that.
It's actually all colleges now.
All colleges now. So if you apply to the volunteer fire service at 17 or 18 and you join, as long as you are fulfilling your duties at the firehouse and we give you what they call that letter of recommendation or the good guy, good girl letter, you will receive those grant fundings for your college tuition. So, and it's pretty much a full ride.
It started out as just community and state colleges, but truthfully, there was nobody taking advantage of the funding. So they opened it up
They
to,
opened it up.
I actually used that.
Yeah, good.
I went through the FAFSA program.
Yes, that's where you would do that now, through the state of New York.
Again,
Thank you.
I think a perfect example of the level of support of our elected officials, recognizing the importance of fire services in our community and putting dollars to make that.
We want the people to stay here. That's what we really want.
Right.
So we'll do anything we can, and the government's and Dean's people are doing everything they can to keep these people here.
I mean, the state's actually created a task force, as you know, through the governor's office to retain volunteer firefighters and EMS workers. So, not only are we having a problem on the volunteer side, we're also having a problem on the paid side, actually attracting, paid individuals. Because again, at the end of the day, it's not in ERS, the system, it's great, but they don't have the 25-year retirement or the 20-year retirement. It's we're going to work till we're 62. Well, who wants to do EMS work till we're 62 years old, right? So we do have some things upstate that are going on right now to try and pull out a portion out of the ERS and put our people in it. So it's only a 25-year career and they can retire on a decent pension. So.
Yeah, there's been talk up there
Yep.
about more incentive
Yep,
programs.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excuse me. Is there any leadership programs for the students for the summer that they can look forward to and get involved in?
Through the state or through how?
The state?
There are things like town has, the summer jobs and things of that nature, but there are internship programs that go on.
That's what I'm, yeah.
Yeah, there are
And then you can
internship.
shadow, there's shadowing programs that
Sure.
students may not know that there are, and they can look forward to doing something during the summer.
Yeah, and I know it sounds important sometimes, but some of the schools, they do have student government and they will go to Albany as part of their programs. And I'll tell you, and I hope I don't get in trouble by talking about another district, but William Floyd has, they year after year, they continue to statewide, they do fantastic in Albany. They really do. You end up seeing the student speaker or the majority leader or something coming from Floyd almost every year. But they really get involved, but it's great because you really do learn about what goes on for better or worse up in Albany. So it's really a fantastic program.
Bill, how many years ago did you start that program in Longwood?
Many, many years ago, over
About
half a
20.
decade.
Oh,
Well, Pam Vetdahl and I, we started it back in the 80s and
That's
then we
great.
just carried it on. And this was one
I
of
was
my.
just talking about it today, actually.
One of my first speakers, I mean, when he got in, I followed him, went to his coffee clutches and, we became good friends and, with the kids, we helped out a lot of students in Longwood. They had career choices and career paths. And when I had brought in their legislators and people to speak to us, they just capitalized one-on-one and these guys and women were so great that they always reached out to the students and helped them out.
I know for a fact, one of your students there is now working for Legislator Thorne.
That's right.
So
Yeah, I mean,
he's in the
so
legislative-
it's great because you start the program, you don't know where it's going to go and, God, we're very successful with it.
And Dr. McCabe over here, which you can't see on the screen, but she's the one that organizes that for us at Eastern Suffolk BOCES. And Pat, I think it's in March. Is it March 1st that we have two buses headed up to Albany? Yeah, so I'm sure we'll see you up there when we come to visit. Let's shift back over to fire department again. Can somebody discuss some of the benefits of joining? Obviously, nothing's better than volunteering and supporting your community, especially in a department that's getting close to 3,000 calls a year. I understand at 2:00 in the morning when the alarms go off, it may not feel like the best.
I've been up since 2:30. Last night. I can tell you that's true.
It may not be you think to yourself, it may not be the best decision that you've made, but when you show up and you're able to help somebody out. But what are some of the other positive aspects?
Well, I do think that as talking about partnerships with the state, obviously we want the younger generation to join, right? But there is benefits to those who are taxpayers that are homeowners in our districts as well, right? There's a ton of tax incentives, property tax reductions, school tax reductions, now the new income tax reductions coming down the pipe from the state. So there's a lot for those who are vetted in the community to come down and actually join because you will get those incentives as well. So it's not just geared towards the younger generation, although we do need them, because that's how we're going to survive. But, there is that opportunity for those who are established in the community to come down and help us. And there's many of opportunities in the fire district.
There's other things too, that we were all young guys and girls in the fire department. And, every one of us in this room was a municipal employee. So I'm still working, retired Suffolk Police, retired Suffolk County DPW administrator, retired FDNY. We kind of got that spark from being inside that firehouse.
Right.
Like the older cops would come in and they'd have coffee with us and they'd say, "Hey, are you taking the test? Are you?" And that's a spark that occurs, I think, globally in the fire service around here.
That's great.
And
So
now
it gave you that stuff
Right.
that, it kind of, you had people kind of like mentor you to say, "Hey, listen, why don't you guys take the Suffolk Police test?
Why don't you do that? And
Why don't you take
all
the
of a sudden you're
FDNY
involved into
Right?
and
Like,
now
out to the county."
And now more recently, for those municipal employees that are volunteer firefighters, Senator Brooks had, sponsored a bill last year before he vacated that, if you're a municipal employee, for every 5 years you serve as a volunteer firefighter, you're going to get 1 year pension credit. So now you can retire 3 years earlier, right? Instead of having to do maybe a 25-year 20, you could do 17. So there's a lot of incentives for everybody out there. It's not just for the younger generation, it's for everybody.
That's great. That's great. And Scott, did you recently assume a new position
I did.
here?
I had
Can you talk a
just-
little bit about that and how it came to be?
Of course. Well, I just got onto the board in January, like literally Monday. There was a vacancy coming up and Larry Stumpo had asked me, like, do you want to do it? I was like, you know what? I've always been thinking about doing it, so I decided to go for it. So I went around the town of Patchogue and I was trying to get my name out there. Asked some of my friends come out to vote, asked, like, telling them what I want to do, what I want to change. And they were telling their friends, and I was able to get a showing to come out.
That's great.
And I got on the board. I managed to win the election, and now I'm with these guys. I hope to learn a lot from them too.
So the position of fly commissioner is it's an elected position for state officials, so.
It's definitely something new for me, but I'm actually kind of excited to learn it.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's about getting involved. That's about getting elected and.
Yeah,
and
that's
being-
that's one side of it. Then, like everyone else saying, the other side is actually serving in the volunteer service.
That's great. Very nice. Dean, other thoughts that you have related to not just the Armory, but just in general messaging for either our employees at Eastern Suffolk BOCES or kind of some of the things that you're seeing out there into the future, also our students as well?
Sure. I mean, to the students, we're talking a lot about, and you're seeing in front of you, all the volunteers, the people that have given up their time and invested in the community. Listen, for the last couple of years, New York has led the nation in out migration. We're hearing it left and right. You know, I'm out of here. I'm going to Florida. I'm going to somewhere else. I'm going here. We're trying hard to turn that around. And the way we turn it around is investing in our next generation, investing in the future, letting you know that opportunities are here. You know, there are good paying jobs. There are trades. There are, you know, communities that are tight knit that really want you here. You know, it's when I was campaigning last year, I'm knocking on doors and talking to people. And as much as I would hear, I'm out of here, I've had it, you know, these taxes, these fees, all this, but they didn't want to go. Nobody wanted to leave. They felt like maybe it's time or I have to, or they felt defeated. But that's because we don't maybe have enough people getting involved. You look around here, any one of you could have left at any time. You didn't, you're here and you're giving back to your community and you're helping. And thank God for it. But that's what we have here. We have a lot of communities on Long Island that just, they are that communities. They're like family. They care. We have 124 different school districts on Long Island. Some say that's too many. Some say that's, you know, not enough, you know, but there's that pride. And we have that here. Like I've lived in other areas, but there's nothing like Long Island. There really isn't. And to be able to offer the training, a future, I think it's so important. And it's important that we up in Albany invest in that and find different ways, just like we're investing in trying to find ways to get more volunteers or to keep volunteers. It's important that we continue to do that. And we recognize that we have an important role as well, whether it's providing incentives or leading, you know? So that's actually what got me back in. I was out for about 4 years and saw an opportunity to get back in and make a difference. I'm a small business owner myself, and I got to tell you, it is tough in New York. It really is tough to run a business in New York. But when you do succeed, there's also no better feeling than succeeding in New York. You know, like the old saying goes, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. It's true. You feel like you're on top of the world when you've actually turned something around and you're succeeding, you're doing well. And then to do it in a place you love, there's nothing better. But we've got to do all we can to help. And doing things like investing in CTE, investing in BOCES, investing in, as I said, apprenticeship programs and things that will give the next generation not just a job, but a possible career and a future and a way to stay here, stay with their family, raise families of their own. That's how we're going to turn this around, but it's all working together. And then again, getting involved in your community. There's no better feeling, but it also, it kind of solidifies that anchor, if you will. You know what I mean? It solidifies your place in the community. So it's important that you do that. You'll get not only the self-satisfaction of knowing you're helping, but then it also gives you a future. So I'm excited about the future. I know there are challenges that we're facing, but I'm excited about it because, as I said earlier, you're starting to see a change in Albany too. You're starting to see a change in attitude of, hey, we need to help a little more. We need to invest a little more. We need to make sure that they have the tools necessary, and we need to provide that. So it's encouraging to see that. We just got to keep the pressure on and keep pushing.
Well, we appreciate that you got back into the game, so to speak. We feel that support on looking at public education and the level of support in the current year, last year, and projected for next year as well. That has definitely impacted the classroom. So we know that our elected officials, from the governor on down, has played a significant role in supporting K-12 education. We are incredibly grateful for that. I think there was a strong recognition that COVID had an impact on our students. There's learning loss. There was mental health problems before the pandemic, and some of those things certainly did not improve as a result of the pandemic. So we needed additional supports put in there for our students. The dollars are being delivered, have been delivered, and are promised in the future for K-12. And I know it makes a big difference too. We have 51 what we call component school districts that we support. You have places like Brentwood with close to 19,000 students.
Yeah.
And to your point, we also have places like Sagaponack, which is a one-room schoolhouse with, I think, 8 students this year, right? So we at Eastern Suffolk BOCES, we support both of those entities. We clearly get more students from Brentwood than we do from Sagaponack, and the level of support that the Brentwood community has felt from New York State has been tremendous. There's something out there that funds public education referred to as the foundation aid formula. Brentwood was shorted for the duration of that time period. And what the current elected officials have done to correct that has really impacted lives and changed opportunities in that district. We're very proud that we formed a partnership with them related to CTE. We talked a lot about career technical education. We opened up a classroom right in their high school. And it just provides a magnificent opportunity for what's about 40 students a day. And the real nice part about that is you probably remember there's no busing. You didn't have to get on a bus to go to your program over at Millikan Tech and get on another bus to go back. That they go right into the classroom in Brentwood, right in the.
I actually went to school first, then got on the bus.
So you went to us,
Yep.
and then got back, right? So and then sometimes you can't do some of the after school activities if you're not getting back at the same time. Maybe not in all districts, but in certainly others. So because of that level of support, we were able to form that partnership and provide more opportunities. Again, we're getting to about that point in the evening, so I'll just open it up one last time. If anybody had any questions from the Zoom space that you're in. Just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us this evening, Mark Finnerty. I also wanted to thank you for allowing us into the Armory tonight. And also, it's my understanding you too are a volunteer fireman for Mattatuck. So we appreciate you.
Yeah, much smaller house.
How many calls?
You're getting a brand new building though, Mark.
Yes, someday. Replace the 1928 building, right?
Well, thank you, Mark, for that, and thank you for all the support that you do here for our students at Eastern Suffolk BOCES. With that, Bill?
I think we have upcoming events. We have the along with the district's 19 regional legislative breakfast, and then speaking of before, we partnership with BOCES back in 2004. And then kept it going. So this is our 19th breakfast.
Yeah. So we'll have Brian Fessler do a presentation. Fessler is in charge of the governmental relations for New York State School Boards Association. And somebody by the name of Ryan Ruff, I think, is giving a presentation. We'll see how that goes.
That'll be worth listening to.
This is his first one out of the gate, so hopefully he does well. Everyone, I'd like to extend my appreciation for you joining this evening. Thank you so much. And if you didn't get a chance to watch us tonight, but you're watching us at a later date, maybe in your social studies classroom or beyond, thank you for taking the time to do that as well. And with that, we would like to say, I hope you have a good night. And thank you very much again. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
And Happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.